Big ace. Bet the Savannahs.
Cuter.
What you gonna do? Oh. I call.
Kick a buck.
$1?
What?
Hey. What you
One
gonna
time.
All right, I'll call.
Well, if I catch, I'm gonna burn you. I call. King 3, you got a 4. Queen deuce gets a 5, and the pair of 7s gets a John, and the big ace gets slop in the face. Okay, you still do the talking.
Cuter again.
I call.
Kick a buck.
I'll call.
You gotta see a gambler.
You got it.
I can't catch. I'm snake bit. Can't catch. I fold. King 4-3, you got a 9. Nothing visible. Pair of 7s and a jack gets a 6. Savannah's, you still a better man.
Cuter. Kick a buck.
He's got it.
Kick it back a buck.
All right, I'll see you a buck and back a buck. Kick a buck.
Damn.
Don't look at me, Molly.
Well, come on. What you gonna do, play like a coconut? You got to call him anyway.
Look, I know he's got a pair of kings. You don't have to stuff up my nose.
The man's got kings. Get your tail out.
Yeah.
Now you got it. You want to see him?
Yeah.
Right there. 1, 2,
Yeah.
3, 4, 5.
Yeah.
Oh,
Mic'd up, right?
another. Stupid Molly, Dad, he beat you at nothing. Just like today when he kept coming back at me with nothing.
Yeah, well. Sometimes nothing can be a real cool hand.
Here, Luke. Deal.
Welcome back to Backyard Poker, everyone, the channel dedicated to expanding your poker palette beyond just Texas Hold'em. Today we're going to be looking at part 5 of my Poker Basics series, 5-Card Stud. And with these stud-based games, I'll also be showing 2 new items to the game of poker. The use of up cards that everyone at the table can see, and betting that is based on those up cards. This video will assume you already know the poker hand ranks and how dealing and betting is done in a 5-card draw game. If not, please review parts 2 and 3 of this Poker Basics video series. I'll leave the links in the description below. Stud poker can be played many different ways. You may have seen or you're familiar with how stud games are played at the casino or online. The version I'll be showing here is for Home Dealer's Choice stud poker, which is slightly different. Stud poker first appeared at the end of the Civil War and was played both north and south. Originally it was called stud horse poker, and there's a story that the name originated from a man in a saloon in Ohio who used a horse as betting collateral to finish a poker game. One key difference from a draw-type game like 5-card draw and stud poker is the concept of the closed and opened gameplay. A closed game means that all the cards are closed to the other players and they're only revealed at the end of the game during the showdown. An open game means that some of the cards are actually visible to the other players by having them face up on the table. These are known as the up cards, or sometimes called board cards. With an open-style game, each player has more information about what each player's hand may possibly be. And I did say some of the cards are face up. There will always be one card that's face down and only available to that player. These are also known as hole cards. Another key difference between draw and stud poker is the way that the bet opener is determined. Draw games use a positional way of determining the bet, which is usually the player on the dealer's left. Stud game betting starts with an opener that is non-positional and could change with every new betting round. The bet opener for a stud game is determined by who has the highest poker hand rank of the up card showing on the table. Whoever has the highest up card hand rank for that round starts the betting. Another difference with stud poker is there's no drawing of cards. That means there's no exchange of cards, and you play the cards that are dealt to you. Now 7-card stud, which I'll talk about in the next Poker Basics video, and 5-card stud are what I consider core games, just like 5-card draw. That means that these games are the basis for a lot of poker variants. So having a firm understanding of how stud and draw games are played allows you to play a lot of the poker variants with just a few tweaks of the rules. Now let's move the camera angle so you can see how to play 5-card stud. So now I'll show you how to play the traditional version of 5-card stud. This is the version that was played back in the late 1800s. Here is the 17 steps involved in a traditional 5-card stud game, with emphasis on the items unique to stud poker games. I know it seems like a lot of steps, but it will go quickly, and a lot of these are repetitious. So step 1, the dealer shuffles the poker card deck. Step 2, the dealer and all other players put in the ante. In this case, it'll be a quarter. Step 3, the dealer offers the cut to the player on the right. Step 4, the dealer announces the game. 5-card stud, everybody. Step 5, the dealer deals out 1 card face down to each player. You may actually hear this card called First Street. Step 6, the dealer deals out 1 card face up to every player. This is called Second Street, which just means it's the second card dealt out. Step 7, the player with the highest poker hand showing starts the betting. The highest poker hand is whoever has the highest card values in either a high card, pair, 2-pair, 3 or 4 of a kind. Partial straights or flushes are ignored, and only the high card is used to determine the highest hand. If there is a tie for the highest poker hand, there is one of 2 ways it is handled depending on the house rules. House rules will be covered more in Part 10 of this Poker Basics series. The most common way to break the tie is just who was dealt the high hand first in relation to the dealer. So for example, with the card shown here, there are 2 players with a queen, which is the highest card currently on the table. Player 2 was dealt a queen before player 3, so player 2 would open the betting. You may hear somebody say, first queen bets, and that just refers to this tiebreaker rule. A far less common way to break ties on the up cards is by the rank of the suits. I haven't discussed suit order before because it's rarely used. But just for this possibility here, I'll show the order of the suits. Number 1 is spades. Number 2 is hearts. Number 3 is diamonds. And number 4 is clubs. So looking at the example hands again, if the suit order rule was used, the player with the queen of hearts, player 3, would actually open the betting since it is ranked higher than player 2's queen of clubs. We'll stick with the first highest hand rule, and the queen of clubs here will open the betting. Player 2 decides to check. Player 3 decides to check. The dealer, player 4, decides to check. And player 1 decides to check. It's not uncommon in a 5-card stud game to have the first round be all checks. If that's the case, no money is put in and we move to the next step after step 8. Step 9, the dealer deals out 1 more face card up to each player. This is Third Street. So I'm just going to combine the start and completion of betting for this step and the rest on this list. So again, the person with the highest up card poker hand opens. In this case, the dealer with an ace would open the betting. Let's see what everyone's hole card is, which you would normally not see during a game. The dealer, player 4, decides to open for a quarter. Player 1 decides to call the bet. Player 2 also calls the bet, and player 3 calls the bet. And that completes step 10. Step 11, the dealer deals out one more card face up to each player, and this is 4th Street. And step 12, we start another round of betting with the highest poker hand showing. In this case, player 2 with a pair of 3s would actually open the betting. That player decides to open for a quarter. Player 3 decides to fold. The dealer, player 4, will call the quarter bet. And player 1 will also fold. Now we move on to step 13. The dealer deals out one card face up to each player. This is 5th Street and the final card. Step 14, another betting round with the highest poker hand showing will be started by player 2. Player 2 will open for a quarter. The dealer, player 4, will raise a quarter. Player 2 will call. And that completes the betting. Now we're at step 15, the showdown. Each player shows their hole card to determine who will win the poker game. In this case, with the hidden jack, the dealer will end up winning with a pair of jacks. So step 16, the player rakes in the pot. The cards are gathered and passed to the next player on the left, player 1, to start a new poker game. Let's talk about a few 5-card stud betting strategies. Since most of the cards of each player's hands are face up to everyone, stud games give you more insight into how strong a player's hand potentially is. But with that one hole card that only that player can see, there is still plenty of room for bluffing. Does he have that 5th spade? Is there a 3rd king in his hand? As you've seen from the sample game, the dealer had that jack and was able to pull it out at the end and win with the pair of jacks. You may see more checking done in a 5-card stud game than you would in 5-card draw. That's because there's 4 betting rounds in stud instead of 2. It's not unheard of to have the first betting round be all checks with no money added to the pot, just like I showed in the example game. It's important to keep track of how the other players are betting in relation to what the cards are showing. A player that consistently raises is either bluffing or just has a good hand. If you're the one with the good hand, be careful not to raise too early and scare all the fish away. Let's look at some 5-card stud dealing variations. One common dealing variation you'll see in 5-card stud is the last card. Some people play the game by dealing the last card down instead of up. There's nothing wrong with this, and don't make a big fuss if someone ends up dealing it that way. It may be simply how they were taught the game. The game is still played the exact same way, but only 3 cards are revealed from each player's hand instead of 4. Now let's look at a 5-card stud betting variation. Typically, you bet according to the ante, as I have explained in previous videos. If a quarter ante is used, the opening bets and raises are in 1/4 increments. But, according to some people's house rules, there is the ability to double the bet if a pair or better shows up on any player's up cards. In the example here, we have a pair of 10s, so this player would be able to open for up to 50 cents. Other players would be able to raise 50 cents. A common phrase used when this happens is, the price of poker just went up. The next part in this series, part 6, will explain how to play the game 7-card stud. This game introduces a new twist to the game of poker. The ability to pick and choose the 5 cards you want to use out of the 7 cards that are dealt to you. And 5 and 7-card stud will be the basis of a lot of poker variants that I'll explain in future videos. If you enjoyed this video, click the like button. If you enjoy this series, click on the subscribe button. If you're eager for new videos, click the bell icon. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.
I should have done this a long time ago.
You were always welcome.
So, 5-card stud, nothing wild. And the sky's the limit.